President Yoon Suk-yeol embarks on a 4-day trip to the Czech Republic for discussions on a major nuclear power plant project with that country. The U.S. Federal Reserve cuts interest rates for the first time in 4 years by a half percentage point, heralding more rate cuts within the year. North Korea claims to have successfully tested a new tactical ballistic missile capable of loading a super-large warhead the previous day. It's September 19th, 6 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We start with President Yoon's departure for the Czech Republic earlier today for nuclear power cooperation with that country. He will be focusing on closing the deal for a major nuclear power plant project in Dukovany. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Seeking to help close a deal between Korea Hydro and nuclear power and the Czech Republic, President Yoon Suk-yeol embarked on a visit to the European country on Thursday. This trip comes as this past July, the Czech government chose Korea Hydro and nuclear power as the preferred bidder to build 2 nuclear power units in Dukovany, a project worth 24 trillion Korean won, or about 17.3 billion US dollars. However, there have been appeals against the Czech government's decision by the two sides also competing for the project, U.S. company Westinghouse and France's Électricité de France. Westinghouse claims the Korean company doesn't have the license to use a nuclear power tech owned by the U.S. firm, while EDF claims the selection process wasn't transparent. To this, President Yoon said in a written interview with Reuters published Thursday morning that, quote, there is no need to worry and that his confident any obstacles can be overcome. He added Seoul and Washington were creating an amicable atmosphere among businesses in the nuclear energy sector to close out the differences. As for the summit, the top office also said the trip will serve as a means to establish a nuclear power alliance between South Korea and the Czech Republic.
The President, during this official visit to the Czech Republic, will convey Team Korea's firm commitment to the successful completion of the nuclear power plant project and will actively engage in sales diplomacy as the nation's #1 salesman to secure the contract. A nuclear power alliance between South Korea and the Czech Republic is expected to be established through this visit.
The 4-day visit will start with an official welcoming ceremony in Prague and a summit with Czech President Petr Pavel, as well as an official banquet. On Friday, he will meet with Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala and travel to the city of Pilsen to visit nuclear power production companies. Coming back to Prague with the Prime Minister, Yoon will sign MOUs in fields, including trade, investment, and advanced technology, signaling cooperation beyond the nuclear power sector. The Czech Republic is also known for its manufacturing capacities, especially in automobiles. More than 100 companies from South Korea are already operating in the country, and to enhance economic exchanges, the two nations are set to sign a trade and investment promotion framework during this trip. Meanwhile, Yoon will also be accompanied by a business delegation made up of officials from more than 50 South Korean companies, from conglomerates to small businesses. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
The Czech Republic's ambassador to South Korea believes the upcoming summit between the leaders of the two countries will serve to enhance their strategic partnership. Our correspondent Woo Soo-young had a chance to talk to him.
South Korea and the Czech Republic are expected to ramp up their strategic partnership this week as President Yoon Suk-yeol makes an official visit to Prague on Thursday. The trip comes after a South Korean consortium led by Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power was selected as the preferred bidder to build the first 2 units of Czechia's Dukovany nuclear power plant.
We have to accomplish the final agreement, which should be signed around March next year. But there is a lot of work to be done because this final agreement is the final document that will actually prove that the KHNP will be the bidder and what will be the conditions, in a sense of a time, a sense of the monies and of the financing, the localization projects, meaning the participation of the Czech companies in the whole process.
Yoon's officers said South Korea would assist in the localization of nuclear energy capabilities through deeper industrial and technological cooperation as a so-called nuclear power alliance. According to Czech ambassador to South Korea, Hwangnidan-gil, This will be just the starting point of broader bilateral cooperation. With more than 100 Korean companies established in Czechia, the Central European country is an essential partner and base to expand into the European market for a diverse array of industries.
So actually, machinery and industry is very important. Automobile sectors are very important. So actually, we see that there is a chance, with the new transformation of the automobile industry into the EV mobility. The second area is the semiconductors, how to actually make our supply chain more resilient, and more resistant to the possible disturbances in the world. And the third one is the health and farm sector, the pharmacy sector, because today the medicines and the health issues, one of the important things, for our societies which are aging. And
Furthermore, security will be another major issue, particularly with the ongoing war in Ukraine and Russia's military collaboration with North Korea.
So, unfortunately, we see that the security in the Euro-Atlantic area is linked to the security in the Indo-Pacific area. So that was why, we have to cooperate, and we have to do things together. One of the areas where we can really cooperate is cybersecurity.
Across all areas, the ambassador emphasised common liberal values of freedom, human rights and the rule of law.
So actually give us, a base, for the alliance. And its alliance, is being based on economic cooperation, but, it should be primarily based, on these democratic shared values.
As South Korea and Czechia mark 35 years of their diplomatic relations next year and 10 years of establishing their strategic partnership, President Yoon's visit is expected to serve as a pivotal moment to elevate bilateral ties to a brand new level. Seoul, Arirang News, Prague.
Over in the medical dispute, the nation's top office addressed the public after a long Chuseok holiday, saying there was no major medical crisis. It once again urged defiant doctors to join talks over the issue of expanding future medical school seats, except for next year's. Chuseok explains.
On Thursday, the presidential office held a briefing about the situation regarding the emergency medical system operated during the Chuseok holiday.
During the 5-day holiday, although there were some inconveniences in emergency medical services, it concluded without any major incidents, which had been feared to take place. We believe that anticipated crises or breakdowns did not occur.
The presidential office also thanked the medical staff who dedicated themselves to treating emergency patients. In addition, it praised patients with minor complaints for visiting local clinics instead of large hospitals, allowing emergency rooms to focus on critical and severe cases as intended. The office will continue to thoroughly monitor the situation to ensure everything runs smoothly during the remaining week of the holiday emergency response system. Meanwhile, the office emphasized that as South Korea is set to enter a super-age society next year, healthcare reform is essential to meet the rapidly increasing demand for medical services, including increasing the number of doctors. It reported that about 40% of medical residents have returned to the field, including around 1,000 residents currently working and about 3,000 employed in other medical institutions. To encourage more residents to return, the government is urging doctors to participate in its joint consultative body with the ruling and opposition parties to discuss enhancing investment and improving the residents' training environment. However, it also reaffirmed that adjusting the medical school admission quota for 2025 is not possible, which remains a key issue in the current medical dispute.
It is impossible to adjust the medical school enrollment quota for 2025 since the university admission process is already underway. However, the government has a flexible position regarding the quota from 2026.
The government once again stated that if doctors' organizations present reasonable opinions based on scientific evidence, it is open to discussing these with them with an open mind. Chuseok, Arirang News.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has cut interest rates for the first time in 4 years by 50 basis points, which is a major shift. South Korea's finance authorities are monitoring its impact. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve delivered a significant interest rate cut for the first time since 2020, indicating that central bankers believe they're making headway against inflation. The 50 basis point reduction brings the benchmark interest rate to the 4.75 to 5% range. Apart from emergency rate deductions made during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's the first time since the financial crisis of 2008 that the Fed has made a big step in rate cuts. Fed Chair Jerome Powell acknowledged the move reflects a shift in focus to protecting jobs after months of falling inflation, which dropped to 2.5% in August.
This decision reflects our growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate growth and inflation moving sustainably down to 2%.
Fed policymakers also projected further rate cuts worth 50 basis points in the coming months, signaling confidence in its ability to manage the economy. During a macroeconomic meeting on Thursday following the Fed's announcement, South Korea's Finance Minister Chae commented on geopolitical uncertainties that could lead to market volatility. In light of the outcome of the latest FOMC meeting, the Finance Ministry aims to keep a close eye on shifting conditions.
In the event of excessive market volatility, we will be prepared to implement prompt market stabilization measures tailored to specific circumstances as outlined in our contingency plans.
He also addressed the continued slowdown in domestic demand and surge in household debt, which could influence the Bank of Korea's interest rate policy next month. The BOK also commented on how the pivot in U.S. monetary policy is expected to impact the foreign exchange market volatility positively. What was formerly an all-time high interest rate gap between the U.S. and South Korea has now fallen to 1.5 percentage points as the BOK's benchmark rate stands at 3.5%. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
Back here on the peninsula, North Korea claims what it test-fired yesterday was a new tactical ballistic missile capable of loading a super-large warhead, further escalating tensions on the peninsula. Shin Ha-young brings the latest.
North Korea on Thursday claimed that it successfully tested a new type of tactical ballistic missile capable of carrying a super-large conventional warhead the day before. The state-run Korean Central News Agency said that the test of the missile named Hwasongpo 11 Ta 4.5 was equipped with a 4.5-ton super-large conventional warhead. The test aimed to verify the missile's accuracy at a medium range of 320 kilometers and the explosive power of the super-large warhead. This is the second time since July that the North has said it tested such a missile. The KCNA said the North also successfully conducted a test fire of a strategic cruise missile, claiming its performance has been upgraded. It added that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw the test and expressed satisfaction. Kim said that the tests are directly linked to external threats to North Korea's security and emphasized the importance of having the strongest technology and overwhelming power in both nuclear and conventional weapons. Meanwhile, the Joint Chiefs of Staff announced on Thursday that North Korea sent around 160 balloons carrying trash towards South Korea, which started Wednesday evening and continued into the night. The JCS reported finding some 30 trash bundles in Seoul and northern parts of Gyeongju province. No harmful substances were found, with the trash mainly consisting of paper, plastic, and bottles. South Korean military officials on Thursday addressed Pyongyang's recent missile tests and the launch of waste-carrying balloons.
North Korea is far from what we'd consider a normal country. Their actions, such as launching trash balloons or missiles, are driven by various motives. One aim could be to incite internal conflicts in South Korea to advance their own agenda.
The presidential office issued a statement warning North Korea against short-range ballistic missile launches, urging an immediate halt to provocations, including the launch of waste-carrying balloons. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
There was another fierce clash today at Parliament where the rival parties disagreed on the need for special counsel bills deemed politically sensitive. The ruling party refused to vote and they were unilaterally approved by the opposition. Our National Assembly correspondent Lee Si-hoo reports.
The main opposition Democratic Party of Korea, with support from minor parties, unilaterally passed 3 bills at the Assembly's plenary session on Thursday, including one aimed at investigating First Lady Kim Keon Hee's alleged involvement in stock price manipulation before she assumed her position. This probe will also look into allegations that the First Lady received a luxury handbag from an acquaintance and alleged interference in the ruling People Power Party's nominations for April's general elections. The PPP criticized the Liberal opposition for their repeated legislative action, which they say is ungrounded but instead is politically motivated.
This is too much. During the 22nd National Assembly's 4-month operation, the opposition has pushed for 13 special counsel bills, 6 of them aimed at the First Lady.
But the DP in a rebuttal insisted it was doing the work that needed to be done.
We are straightening out the nation's order that is collapsing by passing these special counsel bills on First Lady Kim and Marine Corporal Chae.
Amid the ruling party's boycott, all 167 lawmakers remaining present at the meeting voted to approve the special counsel. They also approved a special investigation into the death of a young Marine corporal surnamed Chae and whether there was government pressure or interference in the initial military investigation into this. Previously, during the 21st National Assembly, the initial versions of both bills had been passed by the majority opposition, but ultimately were vetoed by President Yoon Suk-yeol. Immediately following Thursday's approval, PPP floor leader Chu Kyung-ho said the party would, once again, suggest a presidential veto of the unconstitutional pieces of legislation passed by force. The DP, meanwhile, warned of a possible revote if the president does exercise his veto power. Meanwhile, a Lee Jae-myung push motion for nationwide stipends in the form of vouchers was approved Thursday, despite opposition from the ruling party and the New Reform Party. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
Over the Chuseok holiday, the country's peak electricity demand increased by around 30% compared to last year. According to the Korea Power Exchange on Thursday, South Korea's maximum power demand reached an average of 70.3 gigawatts from Monday to Wednesday. Last year's Chuseok recorded around 54 gigawatts. The hike comes as the unusual heat wave in September prompted greater demand for electricity from households and industrial facilities. With the continued heat wave and the absence of summer rate discounts, which lasted until August, households are likely to face higher electricity bills this month. South Korea's southeastern city of Gyeongju aims to bring in more visitors based on the popularity of Hwangnidan-gil Street. And the fact that the city will host a major international summit next year makes it all the more special. It's the topic of our business segment this week. For more, our correspondent Park Ko-nu joins us in the studio. Ko-nu, tell us, what is Hwangnidan-gil?
Of course. So first of all, Gyeongju, located in the southeastern part of South Korea, is so the capital. It was the capital of the Silla dynasty for 1,000 years, making it lots of historical sites located, still remaining in the city, and that's why the city is actually popular for many school field trips. But as Hwangnidan-gil gained popularity by utilizing its historical sites with fun content, it's now one of the most well-known places that people go to. The city itself is also known for being the host of the next year's APEC summit. So before we dive in, do take a look at how popular the place is. A long street filled with stores selling a variety of food and desserts, along with interesting things to enjoy. This part of Gyeongju in southeastern South Korea is Hwangnidan-gil, a combination of the neighborhood Hwangnam-dong and the popular street Gyeongnidan-gil in Itaewon, Seoul. Streets full of fun content in Korea are named like this, and among them, Hwangnidan-gil is considered one of the most successful cases. The area attracted some 13 million visitors just last year, thanks to its unique cultural content blended with the Korean traditional and historical sites nearby. Apart from the historical sites, visitors can also relax at Hanok-style buildings, get souvenirs at gift shops, and try localized food and snacks like shibon bread, a type of bread that resembles the Korean penny.
I came here because it's a hot spot and especially to try this shibon bread.
The view around here is beautiful, especially as the buildings are low due to the historical sites nearby.
As you can see, Hwangnidan-gil is a popular tourist spot. But these days, it's also a popular site for companies training their new employees. Last year, thousands of employees from different companies, including conglomerates like Hyundai Motor Company, visited the site for training and conferences.
We thought training new employees here at one of the symbolic places of Korean history would be good. They can go around and do some networking at this hotspot.
And the local economy is seeing a boost as these companies cooperate with local restaurants and cafes.
They are a big help as we are now seeing better sales even on weekdays. Small businesses have been struggling since COVID-19.
The cafe owner also said he hopes more foreigners will visit Hwangnidan-gil, especially during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Gyeongju next year. And as Gyeongju aims to bring in a total of 19 million visitors this year, and potentially more next year, more vitality is expected to be seen in the city down the road.
Konoo, what should be done to bring in more people ahead of the APEC summit?
So first of all, one expert I spoke to said infrastructure for a wider range of people is required.
As Hwangnidan-gil originally targeted and has been popular among people within the country, instead of the opposite, there isn't much infrastructure for foreigners, such as foreign language guide tour services. More of those are needed.
He added active governance between the local government and residents and business owners are also required to solve gentrification or environmental issues caused by over-tourism in order to keep the tourist spot sustainable.
And are other regions planning to benchmark from this street?
Of course. So for those who want to benchmark this place, they have to know that Hwangnidan-gil turned into a hotspot thanks to its locals who participated actively from the very beginning. Residents and business owners there put great effort into making creative cultural content, especially hands-on experiences, which they can only do at the site. It's not one of those places where the local government originally planned and supported to make it a hotspot. While an expert says this is one aspect that other regions should benchmark, he also explains why it's important to create a hotspot.
Unlike other tourist spots, when a hot street-type tourist place is created, studies show that the number of visitors staying in the area longer, for more than one night, increases.
He added that could maximize local consumption in the long term.
Interesting. Thanks for your report, Konoo.
My pleasure.
A heatwave warning was issued for all areas of Seoul yesterday, and another heatwave warning is in place today. This fall heat wave will ease off with fall monsoon rain. Heavy rain is expected across the country from tomorrow. Starting with Jeju Island and the coastlines of Jeollanam-do province today, the autumn monsoon rain will expand across the country tomorrow morning. In particular, between tomorrow afternoon and Saturday morning, strong rain of 30 to 50 millimeters per hour will be concentrated in some areas. Up to 250 millimeters will fall in the mountainous areas of eastern parts of Gangwon-do province and Jeju Island until Saturday. Tomorrow, most areas will start off at 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. Highs will move up to 29 in Seoul, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Daegu. The rain will stop in western regions on Saturday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.
요즘 한국에선 어떻게 노는지 알려줄까?
한국에선 아이돌이 되어볼 수도 인생 번호를 찾을 수도 있지.
제일 핫한 포토 스팟은 여기.
한국은 분명 너에게 새로운 영감을 줄 거야.
이런 한국 와보지 않고는 모를걸? 진짜 한국에선 어떻게 먹는지 알려줄까?
K-바비큐? 신김치랑 먹어야지.
치킨? 치맥 페스티벌은 처음이지?
김치? 종류만큼 먹는 법도 가지각색.
김밥? 시장에선, 산에선, 바다에선 이렇게.
국밥?
취향 따라, 입맛 따라. 이런 한국 와보지 않고는 모를걸?
Here he is, the man of the hour.
Right.
Jang-sun.
저 두부 공장 안 할 거예요.
K-drama, the charm of Korea that captivates the world. Love like a K-drama. A story of us where hope and despair coexist. Fun and refreshingly satisfying. K-dramas carry warmth and move people's hearts. Meet the fascinating stories of Korea through K-dramas.
Thanks for tuning in. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Hwangnidan. President Yoon Suk-yeol embarked on a 4-day visit to the Czech Republic today with an aim to secure South Korea's bid to build nuclear power plants in the European country. The trip follows Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power's selection as the preferred bidder to construct 2 nuclear reactors in Dukovany. Accompanied by Korea's top business leaders, President Yoon will also engage in a series of meetings to enhance Seoul-Prague cooperation across various sectors. In today's episode of Within the Frame, we look into the president's trip to the Czech Republic, the first for a sitting Korean president in 9 years, and the prospects for the two countries' economic cooperation. For some insights, we turn to Chae Hyun-jin, Associate Professor of Political Science at Keon Hee University. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also with us tonight is Song Soo-young, professor at Chungang University's College of Business and Economics. It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Good evening to you, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, Professor Chae, let's kick things off with you. So President Yoon is aiming to establish what he called a nuclear energy alliance with the Czech Republic. What's expected from the rare visit, and would the trip provide significant momentum to secure the multi-billion-dollar nuclear plant project?
President Yoon's visit to the Czech Republic is very important because, as you mentioned, because it is the first time in 9 years that a South Korean president has traveled this country. And the main goal of this trip is to make a nuclear energy alliance between the two countries. So this means that they want to work together more closely, especially on nuclear power project. So right now, the South Korea is in a strong position to build a nuclear power plant in the Czech Republic. And in fact, the Korea Hydro and the nuclear power has already been chosen as a preferred bidder to build 2 new reactors in the Dukovany region. So this visit could help South Korea secure the final deal, which is worth billions of dollars. So if this happens, it would be a big win for South Korean nuclear industry. And during this trip, the President Yoon is also meeting with the top Czech officials and also business leaders to discuss other areas of cooperation as well, like technology, manufacturing, and even defense. The Czech Republic is an important country in Europe, and building a stronger relationship could benefit both sides. So in general, so this visit by President Yoon Suk-yeol will likely create a lot of momentum for South Korea to secure the nuclear plant project and also expand the cooperation in other industries as well.
Czech National Security Advisor Thomas Pojar visited Seoul about 2 weeks ago, and he expressed confidence about finalizing the nuclear power plant deal with Korea. But there are remaining hurdles and legal concerns as well, which we'll get to as we move on. Professor Song, the nuclear power plant project is reportedly worth a total of 30 trillion won. That's roughly $22.5 billion. Can you elaborate on the specific economic benefits benefits this mega project would bring to South Korea?
As you mentioned, like just a moment ago, the $22.5 billion are roughly the measure of, for the KNHP. However, this sounds like a very present value of considering the future revenue that is converted into present value. Anyway, now in June, the Czech Republic has announced that the winner for the building of this nuclear plant in Dukovany, number 5, actually is KHNP, the Korean company. But now this is the moment that starts the contract, because always the details are hidden behind, all the evils are hidden behind the details of the contract. So, according to the official report, that Czech government announced that the Korean hydro and nuclear plant B was the cost is $8.6 billion in July 2024. That implies that the main difference in revenue should be after 30 years of loans.
We apologize for the unsmooth connection with Professor Song. Professor Song, we will disconnect with you briefly and try to get a hold of you a bit later because of the unclear audio sound. We apologize once again to our viewers. In the meantime, Professor Chae, the Czech Republic is often referred to as the heart of Europe for its geographical significance in the continent. Could boosted Korea-Czech cooperation serve as a gateway for entering other European markets?
Yes, as you said, the Czech Republic is often called the heart of Europe. And this can be a key entry point for South Korea into other European market, and especially in the nuclear power sector. And therefore, the growing cooperation between South Korea and the Czech Republic in nuclear energy is indeed a great opportunity for South Korean companies. So if this project is successful, it could lead to more opportunities for South Korea to export nuclear technology to not just the Czech Republic, but to other European countries as well. And therefore, both the government and industry experts see this project as a starting point for future nuclear exports across Europe. But beyond the nuclear energy, an increased cooperation with the Czech Republic in areas such as infrastructure, technology, and energy could also help South Korean companies establish a strong presence in Europe. And this could make it easier for them to expand into other European countries. In addition, the Czech Republic's important role in European manufacturing and also supply chain makes a great starting point for wider cooperation. So in short, the stronger Korea-Czech cooperation can help South Korea access larger European markets and also improve its position across the continent.
So boosted, enhanced Korea-Czech cooperation will certainly significantly contribute to Korean firms' entry into other European markets as well. And Professor Chae, President Yoon has expressed confidence that South Korea and the Czech Republic can become strong partners in Ukraine's post-war reconstruction efforts. What are your expectations for cooperation in this area?
Yes, that's true. The President Yoon strongly believes in the cooperation between South Korea and the Czech Republic for rebuilding Ukraine after the war. And this belief is based on the close relationship that both countries are already building. Recently, especially last year, the South Korean officials met with the Czech envoy for Ukraine's reconstruction, and they saw a lot of potential for working together more closely. The Czech Republic has been helping Ukraine for some time already by accepting many refugees and having over 140 Czech companies already operating in Ukraine. And this shows that the Czech Republic is well prepared to help Ukraine's rebuilding process after the war. The South Korea, on the other hand, has a lot of experience in infrastructure development and advanced technology. The South Korean companies could help Ukraine by sharing their expertise in areas such as high-speed rail construction, energy facilities, and smart infrastructure as well. And if South Korea and the Czech Republic combine their strengths together, especially with their ongoing cooperation in areas like nuclear power and transportation, we could make a significant impact on the rebuilding process of Ukraine. And this partnership could also grow beyond the infrastructure into other areas such as green energy and digital transformation, which are so important for Ukraine's future. So I hope that this collaboration between the two countries will not only help Ukraine's rebuild its economy after the war, but also strengthen economic and diplomatic ties between South Korea and the Czech Republic.
And Professor Song is now back online with us to join our conversation. Professor Song, so the benefits this mega nuclear plant deal would bring to South Korea was where we left off. Korea is projected to reap benefits far exceeding the value of the nuclear plant deal itself. Some say it'll be equivalent to exporting nearly 2 million Hyundai Sonatas. Now, as of last year, South Korea is the fourth largest investor in the Czech Republic. How do you assess the current state of Korea-Czech economic cooperation?
Currently, until recently, actually the Czech Republic and South Korea does not have a much meaningful trade relationship. The main reason is because South Korea has focused on building up some manufacturing export powerhouse in not only in Russia but also in some Eastern Europe, particularly in Poland and other countries. So, but since the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, then we cannot change our central area to make an investment as well as some trade increase between EU and South Korea. Then the Czech is located, as Professor Chae has mentioned, is really in the central area of in Europe. So the size of the Czech economy is not big because actually once it was Czechoslovakia, it was divided into two different countries. But at least we won the contract to build up the Dukovany 5 power plant, and then not only it generate revenue for South Korea, but then the place where the Temelin and Prague and Dukovany could be used as some starting point that increase the trade through as a way to circumvent Europe and to reach Europe much more easily and build up and make an investment in Czech and produce some products in Czech Republic. That would be very beneficial not only to Korea but also to Czech economy. So that's why the President Yoon has accompanied the Lee, the Samsung Electronics chairperson, and Chapter 1, the SK Hynix chairperson. So, and also some big the chairpersons of the big conglomerates in South Korea. So that could show some prowess of the South Korean economy as well as to build up some trading relationship with Czech, but that could be much more likely to be extended in the European Union in the future.
Now, as you mentioned, big-name business leaders like Lee Jae-yong and Chae Tae-won is accompanying President Yoon. Could this visit open new business opportunities for both countries, and in which specific sectors do you see potential for growth?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, because the sound was very small.
Could the visit open new business opportunities between Korea and the Czech Republic? And which specific sectors do you see potential for further growth?
Of course, because our South Korean economy has shown very strong prowess in digital technology, such as the semiconductor. And also, we could use Czech as to increase the selling of some smartphone and other, also the cars. And also, because Czech is previously has been very famous for its manufacturing capacity and the very high level of industry in heavy metal and heavy industry. Therefore, that could be used as some stepping stone for our South Korean economy to push our prowess into Europe and spread it out all of the European Union and from the center of the Czech.
Professor Chae, Korea's efforts to finalize the nuclear power plant deal in the Czech Republic hit a snag as U.S.-based energy firm Westinghouse appealed against the Czech government's selection of Korea's KHNP, claiming that it does not have a licensing agreement to export its reactors, which are based on Westinghouse's technology. While Korea's top security envoy Chang Ho-jin reportedly visited Washington to discuss the matter, could the two countries resolve the issue diplomatically?
Okay. So frankly, I don't have enough evidence to answer your question, but I'll do my best. It seems likely that South Korea and the U.S. can solve this issue through diplomacy. I really hope so, thanks to their strong relationship. And as you just mentioned, the American company, the Westinghouse, the claims that the Korean company used the reactor design based on their technology, and argues that we cannot export these reactors without their permission. However, the President Yoon is now confident that both governments, the U.S. and South Korea, are working to create a positive atmosphere between the two companies. And he believes that cooperation between the two countries under the strong U.S.-Korea alliance can lead to a smooth solution. And also, the reports say that the South Korea's top security envoy, Chang Ho-jin, has already visited Washington to discuss the issue. Although this discussion has been confidential and I don't know very detailed, but anyway, this meeting shows that both sides, the Seoul and Washington, are actively working on this problem. So these diplomatic efforts show that both governments are trying to resolve the difference and promote cooperation. And that's why this morning, the President Yoon said there's no need to worry about the nuclear project in the Czech Republic. So while it is still not clear how quickly this will be resolved, and I believe the solution seems very likely, and this will allow South Korea to continue with the project.
As you mentioned, President Yoon, prior to his departure, expressed confidence that South Korea will be able to overcome any obstacles. So we're pinning high hopes that the matter will be resolved one way or the other. Now, Professor Song, President Yoon has branded himself as Korea's #1 salesman since the launch of his administration, making some notable achievements. How do you evaluate the outcome of his sales diplomacy so far, and what are your expectations for the future?
I would like to be rather sarcastic about whether he turns out to be a successful salesperson or not, because This process has been started in 2017, and fortunately, because of the political situation has been very favorable, turns out very favorable to our country, because Russia, which was a very strong bidder for this Dukovany 5 reactor, and the another very big competitor from China has been also removed because the United States does not want, and the Czech Republic do not want China and Russia to participate in this buildup of the nuclear power plant. As a result, then the Korea and some EDF, the French, backed up some, actually the Czech Republic's state-owned, almost a subsidiary company has competed with each other, but South Korea has offered a very low cost. I think that's why it turns out to be a success to start a negotiation of contract. But we must wait and see what would be the outcome, because there is some the electricity price is a very important source for the revenue, but there is also the Czech country and the Czech CEZ, Czech power plant, they would like to also earn the profit. So that is a very delicate issue to determine what would be the profit proper price level for the electricity. So, and also there is a 30-year power purchase agreement should be guaranteed. Otherwise, it may end up with a loss, and then because the KHNP is going to suffer so much from the loss. And also, this is one of my concerns, and then I sincerely hope this turns out to be a success, and then well arranged, as Professor Chae mentioned, smoothly resolved. And the Western House pointed out, because South Korea does not have its own way or right to build a reactor. Actually, that is 1000 model that is actually developed by Western House, and most of the power plant reactor has been established in the cooperation with Western House and some designated country, even in China. So the problem is whether the KHNP has its own patent to be used to provide a reactor to the Czech Republic. We must wait and see.
All right, we'll leave it there tonight, but we'll keep a close eye on President Yoon's trip throughout this week. Thank you, Professor Song, for your perspectives. And many thanks to you as well, Professor Chae, as always, for your insights.
Thank you.
We once again apologize for the unclear audio output. We ask for your kind understanding. And that brings us to the end of this show. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with more same time tomorrow. See you then.
K-drama, the charm of Korea that captivates the world. Love like a K-drama.